Welcome to the Silly Guy Podcast, friends. Podcast for silly guys by silly guys. My name is Ness. I am a mess. I'm an artist, stand-up comedian, and stay-at-home parent from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. My kids are asleep, which is why I'm doing the nice ASMR vibes right now. And you can see some unfinished paintings behind me. I also have a sketch that I'm going to work on when I get nervous talking to myself. It's one of those Dreamer's doodle pads for man. Oh lady. And because I don't want to get my video censored, I'm not drawing any nipples on her. I drew some cute little duckies, if you can see. Little duck titties. Might draw a little duck oosie for her. And so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about myself, a little bit about maybe some art, maybe some comedy, and then I'm thinking I'm gonna end this little podcast with a short story that I enjoy. You know, kind of bring a lot of my interests together. Isn't that fun? So, making art is something that I enjoy a lot, but being a comedian has been, I don't know, something that's truly meaningful. Like, art is of course very meaningful in itself, but with stand-up comedy, I have found a sense of community that really just means a lot to me. You know, I was very, very isolated being a stay-at-home parent, and just like, you know, I have friends, but, you know, they're very quite far away, so and just kind of having a community that I could enter into, and, you know, that is fairly, you know, accepting into new voices. And you know, I was surprised that the Edmonton stand-up comedy community was so vibrant and just so fun to be around. I truly do have such a fun time with it. And I kind of went broke a little bit, going to open mics too much, spending too much on babysitting. Isn't that embarrassing, going broke on open mics? Oh, Josh, my voice is cracking just thinking about it. But, yeah. But, you know, I just truly love making people laugh, and it is something that I always kind of imagined doing. I watched stand-up comedy as a kid, and, you know, kind of did imagine myself doing it for a very long time. And, you know, I would joke around with my mom. You know, she enjoyed comedy a lot with the Dave Chappelle shows and Trailer Park Boys, and we'd watch a lot of comedy specials together. And I'd say, oh, you liked stand-up comedy so much, you fucked up all your kids just to make sure one of them would be a comedian, which is so cringy, hey? But I don't know, kind of fun for me, and it, you know, it just means a lot to me in a way. You know, it kind of feels like a connection to my mom, who did pass, and about the end of 2022, she She passed from end stage COPD, which is rough. Or 2023. Shit. I might have to put a little edit in there when I remember when my mom actually fucking died, hey? A little embarrassing for that, too. You know, I'm not very good with details, which is why I usually tend to keep my words to myself. You know, I try to pick my words few and far between, because I get a little lost in the trip between my brain and my mouth. You know, there's a bit of a journey that happens that can be a little difficult to make, and I worry that's kind of boring to witness, but hopefully I can make this journey and it's not totally fucking horrible. But yeah, I lost my mom, and she means a lot to me, and I do feel a connection with her when I do stand-up comedy, even though I'm often talking about filthy fucking shit. You know, my mom was a bit of a filthy person too, and I like that about her, you know? Maybe not all the time, but I like honesty in life. I appreciate that. And I've been doing stand-up comedy for just a bit over a year now, and I've really enjoyed it. I've dealt with a lot of feelings, a lot of strong feelings of jealousy and resentment. You know, I can't get out as much as the other lads. You know, having to pay for babysitting most nights. My husband, he works, an actual job and works in the night shift, so it is a little difficult to get out, but you know, I appreciate that he isn't pissed off that I'm still going out like once a week, spending money on babysitting just so I can talk about my pussy. He's a good man. And it's nice to be able to explore some passions. We all need passion in life. But I am very excited to be performing March 16th at the Moon for the Sunday Smoke Show. I asked the wonderful showrunner Trish for a spot, and I was able to get in for the 16th, which I am very excited for. The Moon is a place that means a lot to me because that is the first place that I have ever done stand-up comedy. On their nice little open mic that they have on the Fridays. It was a lot of fun. You know, it's nice to have a space where I can just smoke and hang out. And my mom was a big weed smoker, and she didn't smoke at the end because she was on the oxygen tanks, but I still really I don't know, I feel like a connection with her in that place, because it's it just feels like something she would have for sure loved. And yeah, I almost pay homage to her when I'm there, and it's just very meaningful for me that the very first place that I tried stand-up comedy was a place that I think she would have very much loved. But Yeah, the Moon is a cannabis-friendly comedy club. So it just has an incredible vibe with incredible people. And I'm just so excited that I get to perform on the big show that they have on the Sundays. Yeah, it's the big time. I can't wait. And I do worry a lot about getting rusty. I like to pretend I don't get rusty. Say I'm stainless steel. But, of course I'm pretending, but, I like to think you pretend hard enough, then it's just gonna happen, right? I don't know. It can be a little delusional sometimes. Might be why I'm talking to myself. But I think I'm gonna show off this lady that I'm working on. See how she looks. Ain't she cute? No, little ducky down there. Just peeking out. Oh. And I'll show off this book cover for the short stories that I'm planning on reading. I'm going to read one from this. It's called Strategies Against Nature by Cody Goodfellow. I tried to cover the nipples on the cover. There was actually a lot more than I thought there would be once I started putting little stickers on them. So, I don't know. You'll have to let me know if there's any that I missed. It's a nice book cover, though. I really like it a lot. I think it's so cool. And that's so fun. Might have to do, like, editing, because I don't think the camera can actually pick that up at all. And that fun. But, I think maybe I'll take a few minutes and then I'll do some reading. Back from my little break. I would like to sincerely thank everyone who has listened this far as I tackle the very silly subjects of my dead mom and how broke I am. I definitely feel like a person that needs to rehearse what I need to say. I'm not very good at speaking off the cuff like this, but I once heard a wise person say that every shitty stand-up comedian should make their own podcast. So here I am. Let's get her done. I did a little bit drawing during my break. I'll show you where my duck lady's at. Isn't she cute? Oh, sad pussy duck. Alright. And I think we'll end with a little bedtime. I decided that the story I'm going to read is Wasted on the Young. Strategies Against Nature by Cody Goodfellow, page 117. My neighbors all hate and fear the kids who hang out in our complex, but I treat them with respect because I know what they're about. Where others see wasted potential and wanton self-destruction, I see the essence of orphaned, aborted youth striving without love, hope, or a voice to express itself. I see what they could become given half a chance and the right moment. This one kid, he used to tag everything in the complex with a magic marker. The same cryptic logo on all his textbooks, his skateboard, his plans for a tattoo. This criminal mastermind got caught tagging the laundry room by a 90-year-old Hungarian widow. Tagged her face and stuffed her in a dryer, ransacked her house, and ran off to LA. It's tough being young. People forget, but I remember what it was like. I go to the old sauna room in the clubhouse to smoke after school. Complaints have been filed at the homeowners' meetings, but nobody really cares. Their parents are glad they're out of the house, and the other residents work all day and watch TV all night. They must see me watching from my balcony, but they know I won't narc. They can trust me. I'm lurking at the clubhouse door as three of them stumble out, coughing, giddy, and red-eyed. Not that shitty Mexican grass they smoke could get a fly high, but a child's imagination is a powerful tool. They don't handle surprises very well. One buttons up and coolly walks away. Another doubles over laughing, and the third tries to leap over the kiddie pool, but comes down well short of the edge, wallowing in icy, leafy, swirling water. Hey, I say, just be cool. I just want to talk. The laughing kid drops into a lounge chair to catch his breath. His friends call him Ray Ray. His mom is an obese Mormon drunk whose last boyfriend totaled her tercel in the gravel pit across the street. Before he discovered grass, Ray Ray was a demon for burning pentagrams and anarchy symbols into the lawns and breaking into cars. Though we could never get the stereos out without destroying them. Tell me society's not better off with Ray Ray too stoned to break into your house and shit your sink. The cool kid is Allie. Permanent scowl, eyes too big for his shaved Charlie Brown head. His dad was a big-time slumlord until his wife divorced him and broke up his tenement empire, and they washed up here, drop out. Allie's always wandering the complex. He listens but never talks into his cell phone, waiting for the kids in Letterman jackets to pull up at the corner in fancy cars, but never pick 'em up. I brace him before he can slip out the gate. Hey man, are you selling? Allie glares at his sneakers, gritting his teeth. Why are you pushing my shit in, man? I gotta go home. It's not insolence, but fear. Eye contact with the wrong adult can turn kids into stone, or worse, into adults. The wet kid shakes like a dog. I don't know him, but he's always underfoot. I think he lives in one of the big houses down the street. Allie goes for the gate, but I block him with my arm. Come on, be a good neighbor. I got a 50. Ray Ray keeps going. Dude. And the wet kid goes, no way. Like chickens clucking. I show them money. Allie and I go into the sauna. He shows me the crumbly tumbleweed he peddles, and I give him cash for 5 dime bags. He looks at me long and hard now, like he has a choice. I pocket it and ask if he's got anything else. I don't do coke, he sneers. None of that, man. Psychedelics, acid, mushrooms, mescaline, or ecstasy, only as a last resort. He shakes his head and packs a bowl and a torpedo-shaped sneaker pipe. He mumbles, I don't like to see shit that's not real. But as he lights up, I can see intrigue smoldering in his lacquered black eyes. Jesus, all I want is to show these kids something that's real. You've never tried it, though. He shrugs, blows out the smoke. You go to the sports arena parking lot for any good jam band show. You can get hooked up wholesale. Allie slips past me. So go do it, old man. I let him get halfway out the door. You guys want to come with? Told you, I don't mess with that. Might not like it, but you know people who do. Sell it to your friends in the nice cars. Take the profit and buy yourself some real weed. Move out on your own. He looks at me again. The suspicious, sneaky stare intensified, so it feels like a magnifying glass beaming the sun in my eyes. He never saw me as a threat before. Be an idiot to trust someone his father's age, even a customer. Like you got anything better to do, I urge, but he just walks off. Later, I try to look surprised when I find them waiting by my car. People dismiss kids today because they want to be famous for nothing, but I credit them for learning what they've been taught. There's nothing left that's worth doing, and those who get the most attention do nothing. The only talent worth having is the ability to endure and feed the fascination of the public eye. Everything else they know is bullshit. They won't admit it, but they're excited. They rank the classic rock station blaring Blue Oyster Cult as we get on the freeway. So I put on Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet. The little Philistines have never heard of them, but it makes them respect me a little. I pack a bowl with some White Widow from Samoa, palming Allie's brown Mex crap out the window. I light it and pass it around. Wet kid goes catatonic. Ray laughs at his own nose. Allie grows psychotically silent. I try to tap him. I ask if he plays any instruments. He goes into a speedy spiel about his mad DJ skills. Actually playing music he rules is fruity. I can respect the turntable as a form of expression, I interrupt. But you have to respect history. Once upon a time, kids just like you actually composed and played real music. Who do you think they made those records? The fucking Pilgrims? They trade disgusted faces, debating whose turn it is to change Grandpa's diaper. My fit of pique passes and I see I've pushed too far. But that's how you learn. These kids are feral orphans scavenging the ruins of moribund culture. They can't read the sacred writings, speak for themselves, or make big machines work. They're perfect. We park behind the shuttered town records across from the sport arena and go shopping in the big lot. Tonight's event is a reggae festival, but legions of deadhead refugees parade through the tailgate parties to reconvene as a pharmaceutical swap meet. Most are older than me, but some are younger and dumber than Wet Kid. I buy a sheet of blue Ganesh blotter and some bicycle microdots from a Japanese deadhead who sawed a finger off the day Garcia died, and a vial of red dodo nectar from a hilarious fat girl in a clown suit. Allie and Ray come back with a dozen blue ecstasy tablets and a bag of dried out Ecuadorian mushrooms. I test them and judge them bunk. Allie sulks. Ray eats the mushrooms anyway. What kid wants to go home? I offer them tabs, but they don't like my condition. You have to take them now. Allie goes, fuck that, I don't want to drop now. I'm fucking pissed. You'll get over it. How much? Free. but you have to come with me. Not for the first time, Allie sizes me up as a pervert. Where you want me to go? I want to show you something real. Totally underground. It's much more than a show, more than music. It's real, live, old school happening. The fuck is that happening? I offer them each a tab. Eat this, and I'll show you. It starts to work before we get there. The Ganesh is pure pharmaceutical grade LSD. No strychnine or speed, but it comes on very physically. Subtly at first. Ghost sensations like fine, dry sand sprinkling down your spine. Tingles of phantom limbs you've never known you've had. Then rushes and feverish chills as the body lights and awakens to a new kind of sentience. Wet Kid watches his neon brain rotating 4 feet above his head. Ray cowers and screams at every car that passes by. Allie is talking non-stop in a teeth-gritting mumble nobody is supposed to hear. He goes, Mom didn't leave Mom, and Dad wouldn't let her. He showed her no respect. He made her want a burger so nobody could see how he beat her. He wouldn't let her leave, so she set herself on fire. When she was too ugly to look at, when she had no fingers to cook, and she'd let her go home. I turn around my seat and pass him the pipe. You're gonna like this. We're cruising the industrial district, weaving a spell of anticipation, and it's a strong one. A half an hour passes before Allie realizes we're driving in aimless, looping circles around the same block of warehouses. Do you even know where we're going, dude? Sure. Going to the happening. Where is it then? We pull up to a stop sign. The passenger door flies open and Ray is jerked out onto the street. A gun invades the car, nickel-plated cyclops eye glaring at me from a long, locked arm and a ragged army jacket. Get out of the fucking car, it screams. Get out or I'll shoot you dead, motherfucker. What Kid bawls like a colicky baby. Ray shrieks and tries to get up, but another carjacker sits on him and snugs a hood over his head. Zip ties his hands behind his back. Allie just sits and stares at the carjackers like he's waiting for them to finish telling a lame joke. We get pulled out of the car and there are hoods and zip tie cuffs for each of us. My hood smells like meth, sweat, smoke, tooth decay, and a bit of blood. I wonder if I've worn this one before. I hear someone get in my car and peel out. I feel hands push me to the step rail on the back of a delivery truck. I drag myself in before they can shove me. The kids are heaved in on top of me. The door slams with a gnash of heavy steel teeth. I think Wet Kid resisted because someone hits him and he redoubles crying, moaning, "Bad trip," over and over. Bad trip. I don't believe there is such a thing. If you take drugs for pleasure, but you end up scared shitless after learning something unspeakably real about yourself and the world. Isn't that just the greatest gift a trip can give? We settle down in a pile of hostages, some terrified, others giggling and goofing on the experience. Ray and Wet Kid are crying, but Allie hisses, "Shut up, you fuckheads. This is the happening." I'm so proud I could hug him. A few minutes later, the truck beeps and backs into a loading bay, and the door slides up. As we stumble out of the truck, mishandled like third-rate fright, they hack our cuffs with box cutters and rip off our hoods. We blink and a blitzkrieg of fog, white noise, screamers, and strobe lights. Howling ushers herd us through the blinding gauntlet into the electric darkness of the auditorium. It used to be a union hall, but they rented it out for punk shows when I was Allie's age. They closed it down after the last show, the big one we all remember. It was just supposed to be another dumb show, but it became the perfect deconstruction and obliteration of bullshit conventions like the barrier between performer and audience. The audience was abducted off the street an hour before showtime, rounded up and led onto a school bus with windows blacked out. The bus meandered around town, kidnapping unsuspecting heads until it was full. Then it dropped them at the Union Hall to witness a show that would blow their minds and spoil all other entertainment for them forever. There were no lawsuits or arrests, but the union bolted on its lease and the building stood empty. A bunch of us who were at the show chipped in to buy it. Our revolution passed unnoticed, but it was almost every year when the collective psyche demands it, it happens again. There are no flyers, no ads in the reader, but everyone who gets it just knows. Over the years, only the abduction methods have changed. Construction roadblocks, window washing bums, fake cops, a bogus Veterans Day parade. Most who were at that first show still come out, though our numbers are dwindling. Only a handful of newbies are in the crowd tonight, recruited by veterans like me, or snatched up in an audience raid. So there are never more than 100. Most of them act cool, but a few clueless jackasses hoot and push as the crowd files in, anxious to start moshing. The hall fills in pretty quick. The crowd hangs back from the stage where a couple of graying geezers in faded torn t-shirts set up the gear. Ray notes the absence of turntables with disdain, but is intrigued by the old Moog synthesizer with patch cords like an antique telephone switchboard. Allie stares at each person in the crowd one at a time. Lost track of Wet Kid. I've started to come on hard. A shiny, chrome waves of euphoria detach me from my ego, and I have to fight my way back. Most of our vets still take whatever we were on the first night of the last show. Cranky crystal meth and black blotter laced with rat poison to relieve the experience as fundamentalist gospel. Others have wisely given up drugs, but intense grins on their faces betray the force of the flashback. Every lost sensation is unlocked and made new by bearing witness. I prefer to experiment, to get close to the kids I bring, to see it anew through their eyes. Every underground scene dies a long, slow death as the tourists come in, until nothing's left but posers ogling each other over bleached remains. If we could, we'd huddle over our secrets like Freemasons. But we must risk the fate of every cult phenomenon that pop culture has hijacked and raped and seek out new blood. We must, or the scene will devour itself. I don't need to look at my watch when the naked man in the ski mask comes out onto the stage to thunderous applause. He picks up a bullhorn and launches into a furious tirade in Japanese, Spanish, and bits of English, so mangled by squealing feedback that nobody understands a word. The crowd is hushed, but for a lone catcall, instantly squelched from the gallery. Allie poses for a painting. Ray gets in my face and moans, "Where is the fucking band?" On cue, the masked EMC holds up the gun. It was this experimental noise band, I tell him. Hot underground shit 15 years ago. They invented the whole audience abduction gig. A doomsday cult followed them around Japan, and they say 2 kids died in Europe just from the sound. Well, when they played here, they sucked. The crowd hated them, so they fucked with us. Stood still for 10 minutes at a time, shouted shit about America and our town and how we were all faggots. So, the crowd pulled them off stage and clobbered them. We were going to storm the stage and loot the gear when their singer comes out with a gun. For the first time, Allie looks interested. Then what happened? Watch. The EMC stomps out to the level of the monitors at the front of the stage and waves the gun at the crowd, shrieking at the top of his lungs. The crowd parts under the gaze of the barrel like cockroaches in a spotlight, but ejects a hapless emo kid with a faux hawk. He tries to blend in, but his shield wall of locked arms elbows him into the open. The EMC levels the gun at him and points at the drum kit. The kid gets lifted and passed up to the stage by raging sea of hands. Looking at everyone but the gun, he awkwardly shuffles behind the drum and sits on the stool. The EMC squawks nonsense at the new drummer, who just looks blankly at the floor. The EMC cuffs him with the gun, opening a red tip in his cheek and closing one eye. Screaming curses, the kid picks up the sticks and, like a retarded mechanical monkey, tries to play. The EMC hoots approvingly and charges back downstage. The next one doesn't wait to be hit, but jumps on stage and picks up the guitar. He actually knows how to belt out a few punk chords, and he launches into a crude but spunky solo. The EMC shoots him in the foot. The crowd goes wild. Funny how guitarists always do that. Always get shot. If Allie notices that the guitarist is Wet Kid, he gives no sign. The EMC looks for someone to man the clunky keyboard, jumping up with his right arm in a Nazi salute, screaming, pick me, motherfucker." Ray Ray is elected and crowd surfs onto the stage. The bassist is an indigo-haired girl of about 19. She sobs and tries to bolt, but this always happens too. The EMC hooks her by the throat and slams her into a wall of amps covered in kanji graffiti, makes her kiss the gun. The taste of metal and a whisper in her ear turn her into a puppet. When she straps on the bass, smeared mascara tears twinkle on her blank face like black ice. Front and center, the EMC stands frozen with his back to the ritually enraged audience. He lifts his arms high like a conductor, a victim directing his own firing squad, the terrorized band watching every drop of sweat on his naked body for a cue or clue. A single delicious whimper escapes the bassist. The drummer bites his lip like he's simultaneously trying to plan an escape and the greatest impromptu drum solo since John Boham. Ray Ray fidgets and grins and throws up fake gang signs at the crowd looking for his friends in the darkened hall. He doesn't even notice Wet Kid is bleeding on the stage a few feet from him. "Is this for real?" Allie asks. "Am I really seeing this?" "This is real, I promise." Allie cracks a smile. "Cool. The singer didn't want revenge. He made us get up on the stage and do it better. He went into the crowd and got kids who never played before, but the energy of the moment and the anger of the crowd took them over, made them shine." The EMC drops his arms, and all at once the band, with their fear and confusion boiling over, begin to make god-awful, glorious noise. A scalding wave of red random feedback rises behind them, gathers force, and blows the crowd back on their heels long before reaching its full height. This is where it takes off. The EMC picks up a microphone and turns to search the crowd. A final offering comes surfing in, flailing, screaming, and hits the stage on his knees. The EMC captures his whoop of agony with the mic and leaves it in his hands and dives off. The crowd encloses the stage like a snake around its lunch. The hysterical terror of the hostage band squeezes through the ugly jumble of sound as a galvanic twitch, a staccato undertone that leaps from one inept player to the next and makes much more than its music. Ray has a blast, mashing keys and twisting knobs like he's trying to cause a meltdown. His demented noodling catapults flaming beehives of tortured waveforms into the mix. The drummer pounds out a sloppy tosin that pupates and becomes a perfect hummingbird heartbeat as his fear burns away and becomes exultation. The bassist loses herself in the monotonous spanking motion of her untrained hands. Tears stream down her face, but her frigid dollhouse smile says most of her has transcended for good. Wet Kid wobbles and has to be pushed back up on his good foot, but his prescient fingers wave fruitful bits of structure into the chaos, like glimpses of godlike faces in a forest fire, while Wet Kid struggles to stay upright in the puddle of blood from his foot. His hands are set free to improvise insane chain lightning stampedes up and down the faces of the tsunami still building in our midst. The singer screams for an ambulance and tries to push a spear of fractured tibia into his leg. Out of the clash of rigid ceremony and raw hysteria, the sound that emerges is at once utterly new and totally familiar. None who hear only bootlegs would ever call it music, but nothing will ever do for us what this sound does right here, right now. I look at Ali, and he looks at me, and he has lived his life to see this, and he will live a lifetime before it is over. I envy him, but the undertow of joy pries us apart and sucks energy from us like batteries, draining and feeding it back, a geometrically escalating circuit of worship. The aging audience feeds the band its dead dreams and its ulcerated rage. The band, terrified and accelerated, roars back with the raw, obscenely naive power of youth, so engorged with frustrated desire to express itself. All at once that flow of time loops and stretches, snaps. The sonic maelstrom we've created crushes itself when it can rise no higher. But we keep feeding it till it breaks. The ceiling ruptures and comes crashing down in a fountain of black water. It floods the stage and shorts out the monitors. But the music only gets better. The last inhuman peak of ecstatic perfection is bridged as the band is electrocuted. Galvanic overdrive, raping muscles and nerves, lightning shooting out of their eyes and fingertips. Screams of such unholy pitch as to shatter the spotlights. The shriek of the nameless newborn god, conjured up by their suicidal summoning, blows the crowd back. Blue arcs leap and stab at one another of the hardcore pilgrims kneeling to pray with their heads in the bass bins. I stand precisely where I stood at the first happening, and every one since. My posture, my thoughts, my emotions are exactly the same. In that moment, I am my entire life, and I will never die. Ray Ray's eyes bug out and pop like egg yolks. Smoke belches out of his two new mouths. Drummer's spastic legs kick out of the kit as he belly flops in the glowing water. The bassist leaps high into the air again and again, bloody fingers strangling, melting steel strings, blue hair ablaze. The singer gyrates and humps the stage, splashes of electricity arcing off his scrawny body, so gorgeous that some newbie girl tries to mount him as he dies. Wet Kid wails out a solo too high and wild for human ears as steam leaks out of the swelling fissures of his pressure cooker skull. His hyperactive hands, so instinctually brilliant, make me regret that I didn't get to know him better. But he tells me everything that he's ever had to say in that instant, far better than he ever could with words. The circuit blows out, the stage lights go brown, then black. The strings are cut with a final resounding cannon blast. The amps explode, hurling their cones across the stage. In the dark, perfect stillness reigns for about 5 seconds. Then the crowd erupts, pounding the floor, their hands, each other, more joyously than any religious fanatics. For this moment, glimpsed for the first or the 15th time, is a window into infinity. I look at Allie, who looks at me, gives me a thumbs up. The generation gap is bridged. I feel neither old nor young, but ageless. In this kid, I think I may have finally found someone who gets it. The end. Thank you so much for listening. I had a lot of fun reading that story for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this silly podcast full of death and depression. I always do like to subvert expectations. I think I'll end the podcast by saying something that I always like to say to my daughters before I tuck them in. So always remember, you are kind, you are smart, you are passionate, and you have a great heart. I'm proud of you. Take care.